Hi, good morning, everybody, and welcome. My name is Danielle Coco, and I'm the marketing director at Susta. This morning, we are excited to hear from Ian Chen from SMH International. SMH has been our consultant based in China and Hong Kong for goodness, over a decade. And now they are working with us on the Vietnamese market as well. And we are excited to hear from them today on exporting US wood and lumber to Vietnam. And I know we have a good group of US lumber companies that are with us. So thank you all for joining. Ian will speak about the market and the different opportunities there, as well as the trade mission that we are planning for later in the year to Vietnam Wood. So Ian, thank you very much for staying up late. I know, for us in Central Time, it's a little early at 8 a.m., but for Ian, it is almost nine, or it is 9 o'clock at night. So thank you for staying up late to do this with us.
No, it's a pleasure. So thank you, everyone. And good morning, first of all. Good afternoon. I don't know where everyone is, but I assume it's good morning for everyone. So it's a pleasure to present our topic on exporting U.S. wood and lumber to Vietnam today. It's this is going to be interesting. So let's get it started. All right. So I don't know how many of you have been to or been doing business in Vietnam, but just to give a little bit of background information on the country. So let's start with the question, why? Why Vietnam? So first of all, Southeast Asia in general is the hotspot for new growth opportunities in the world right now. And Vietnam is one of the most dynamic and fastest growing economies within that region, growing by 7% in GDP last year. And with 101 million in population and growing, which is the third largest in Southeast Asia, Vietnam is a huge potential market for domestic consumption, especially when you consider that around 67% of the population is between 15 and 64 years of age. That is a good chunk of the population that is in their prime ages and have money to spend. And within Vietnam, Ho Chi Minh City, with its 9.5 million in population, Hanoi with 8.5. Then you have other emerging markets like Haiphong and Da Nang that have somewhere between 1 to 2 million in population. And then that, when coupled with the fact that there's a growing middle class that is expected to reach 26% of the population by 2026, rising per capita income, growing tourism sector, and steady growth in modern retail and e-commerce, Vietnam is one of the best places in Southeast Asia, maybe even the world, to invest in right now. So in terms of wood products, Vietnam relies strongly on imports to meet domestic and overseas demand, where it imports just over $1 billion to export, to China in the first 6 months of 2024, which was up 46% from the same period in 2023. And exports to Spain was also up by 63%. And on top of that, Vietnam is also looking to grow and expand to other markets, for example, India, the Middle East, and also the Asian countries. So basically, they're neighbors. And as far as importing, Vietnam imported $2.8 billion of forest products in 2024, which was up by 28% from the previous year. And Vietnam is a great market because it has a diverse sourcing market for wooden products as well as furniture. And that makes up 4% of the global market. And China is the largest supplier for Vietnam at $1.1 billion. But China doesn't export any logs or timber to Vietnam. So it relies on other sources, for example, the United States. So the US has been a key supplier of forest products to Vietnam over the years. And as you can see on the chart on the right, Vietnam imports an average of around $350 million a year from 2019 to 2022. And that is exactly how much it imported last year in 2024. Demand remains quite robust so far this year, with imports from the first 4 months of this year already over $200 million. And one of the reasons for that is because US timber consistently meets legality standards required by major exports markets. And the US is a very close trade partner with Vietnam, especially in terms of wood products, both export and imports. In fact, the US is actually the largest export destination of Vietnamese wood products, exporting about $9.4 billion in 2024. And on the other hand, in terms of imports, Vietnam imported $316 million worth of timber last year, which was up 33% from the year before. Other main imports include saw timber, logs, and veneer, totaling at 312 million, which accounts basically for the entire 98%, to be exact, of Vietnam's import from the US. And if we break it down one by one, Vietnam imported 303,000 cubic meters of log worth around $90 million, which was up 41% in volume terms and 51% in value terms. For saw timber, Vietnam imported 429,000 cubic meters, equivalent to 215 million, and which was up 20% in volume and 29% in value. As for veneer, 4,240 cubic meters worth of $6.7 million were imported last year. This is a relatively small number comparing to the other two, but it is growing at a faster rate at 103% in volume and 108% in value. And when we look at the top 10 US exports to Vietnam, we see white and red oak lumber and logs, walnut lumber and logs, southern yellow pine logs, poplar lumber, as well as alder lumber, as well as ash logs, being rounding up the top 10 exports to Vietnam. So I'd like to kind of take a step back basically and talk a little bit about the Vietnamese wood industry here, which is a vital component of the nation's economy, with the agriculture, forestry, and fisheries sector accounting for almost 12% of the entire country's GDP. And in 2024, the forestry sector alone grew by 5%, despite being affected by natural disasters and floods. And there are around 600,000 workers being employed in the wood processing and furniture manufacturing sector. And this is mainly coming from the strong demand from key export markets, which we covered earlier, which is led by the US. The sector is still making good strides with new foreign direct investments projects in the wood industry, increasing by 7% last year. And within the Vietnamese industry, wood industry, which is basically divided into two parts, with the manufacturing industry and the timber cultivation and primary processing industry. So for the manufacturing industry, that is concentrated in the southeastern provinces, for example, Ho Chi Minh City, and the north central provinces being the main base for timber cultivation and for primary processing. So for wood products, wooden furniture has remained the largest part of Vietnam's export value at around 60%, with the US accounting for about 40% of the country's wood furniture imports. And the total export value of wood products in the meantime grew around 20% in 2024, with an estimated $14.5 billion. The acacia and rubber wood are amongst the most popular materials for the Vietnamese domestic furniture production. And other popular choices of wood include oak, pine, walnut, which we saw earlier, being top imports from the US. And the portfolio is expanding beyond traditional offerings to include value-added, eco-friendly items. And Vietnam is also becoming a key supplier of processed wood boards, and this includes plywood and MDF, construction components, and also bioenergy products like wood pellets and chips. So both natural and industrial wood products are exported internationally and consumed domestically. And here are some of the more popular products in the Vietnamese market. So for raw wood, there's logs and saw timber, which comes primarily from Southeast Asian nations, with an increasing shift towards Australia and New Zealand, as well as the United States, to ensure legal origin. Vietnam also harvests from domestic planted forest. And besides log and saw timber, there's also plywood core veneers, as well as wood chips. And then there's the industrial wood, which include particle board, fiber boards, plywood, finger jointed board, as well as industrial flooring. And then for natural wood or solid wood, wooden furnitures, outdoor furnitures, wooden handicrafts, and also construction woods are some of the popular products in the Vietnamese market. And when it comes to hardwood, some of the more common imports include oak, which are used in furniture, wood floorings, and containers, especially for wine barrels. And then you have walnut, which is used in premium furnitures, which is very popular in modern apartments and villas, as well as in interior decorations like paneling in luxury cars or yachts. So even though the US is a leading supplier to Vietnam, there is still a lot of competition. Canada, for example, just one of the, is an important source of hardwoods, especially softer woods like pine. European countries like Germany, France, Belgium, Poland, Romania, Ukraine, Russia, they all supply a range of temperate hardwoods. In African countries like Cameroon, Nigeria, the Republic of Congo, Gabon, These are big suppliers of hardwood to Vietnam as well. But sourcing from these countries do come with a certain degree of risk when it comes to legality of their origins. So this means Vietnamese buyers are becoming more and more careful in controlling the origins. And then for Australia, New Zealand, Vietnam mostly imports softwood, but some hardwood as well. And China, last but not least, exports a lot of medium density fiberboard and plywood as well, which might include products with veneered surfaces from hardwood species. And looking at the Vietnamese market, which we've gone through a little bit earlier already, some of these topics we've gone through earlier, but the way it is looking to expand to more corners of the world provides great opportunities for more demand for wood products, particularly from the US, which are known for their high quality and legal origin. And as the second largest consumer of US wood and the fourth largest globally, Vietnam's dependency on the US as a key source of high quality legal wood products also bodes well for the future. And this is also benefited by China's halting of timber imports from the US, stemming from the trade war that they're having at the moment. This opens up opportunity for Vietnam to increase their timber intake for processing and also for re-exporting. And on the other hand, competition from other countries, for example, the EU countries, Canada, Russia, and also African countries, will be one of the challenges to US exporters. So prices of imported wood also tend to increase due to logistics costs, exchange rate fluctuations, and also global supply issues due to different current world events. Trade tension between Vietnam and the US can be a little bit difficult to predict or forecast, which could also cause tariffs on US products, which might include wood products as well, to increase. And last but not least, the restructuring of the Vietnamese government, which happened starting this February, which saw the consolidation of different ministries and agencies, may lead to operational delays, slowing application processing, license issuance, and also other business-related procedures. So in the Vietnamese market, there are several trends that are emerging. So one of them is the growing demand for environmentally friendly products. So wood products with sustainable origins, particularly products that are FSC certified, are seeing more demand. And on the other hand, growing income and improving living standards, that also means consumers are looking for nicer products to use. So seeing sleek, multifunctional furniture designs that suit modern living spaces are becoming increasingly popular in Vietnam. And technological advancements have also allowed engineered wood products to achieve high quality in terms of durability, aesthetics, and also resistance to moistures and pests. And the growing e-commerce market in Vietnam, which is growing at a rate of around 20% in 2024, and it is currently amongst the top 10 fastest growing e-commerce markets in the world, and third largest in Southeast Asia. So this rapid growth of sales channels online has made it easier for consumers to access wood products. And on the policy side of things, regulation regarding legal wood. So, for example, the Decree 102, blah blah blah, that we're going to maybe talk a little bit later. And these sort of regulations are being strengthened, which means businesses will need to ensure transparency on the origins of their wood products. So speaking of regulation, here is a list of documents required for import declarations when importing wood products into Vietnam. So this includes customs declaration form for imported goods, commercial invoice, sales contracts or equivalent documents, import license for goods that require import license, bill of lading, packing list, certificate of origin, so registration certificates. In the case of wood products, that is the phytosanitary certificate, and also other documents related to products like based on the law. So in a case of wood products, so we'll need due diligence self-declaration form that is compatible with VNTLAS, which is the Vietnam Timber Legality Assurance System. And here's a little bit more information on the requirements for wood products specifically. So this includes legal origin documents like certificate of origin, which is mandatory. And depending on the country of origin, certificates like the Lacey Act certificate for US products will also be required. And as mentioned a little bit earlier, wood products entering Vietnam will need compliance with VNTLAS. So according to the Decree 102, 2020, NDCP, importers must declare the legality of their timber origin, and sensitive HS codes, for example, saw wood, must go through risk assessment, which may trigger further inspections. So for unprocessed wood, logs, or wood packaging materials, phytosanitary inspections or heat treatments or fumigation may also be required. And logs, lumber, and wooden pallets imported into Vietnam are also subjected to plant quarantine. As far as tariffs, Vietnam issued another decree on March 31st this year to amend preferential tax rates on several key agricultural imports, and this included wood products as well. So the revised tariff rates apply to all trading partners that do not have preferential agreements with Vietnam. So for example, free trade agreements. So under the new decree, import tax on wood and wooden products, and that includes coat hangers, chairs and furniture as part of it, are cut from 20 or 25% to a uniform 0%. And despite the US putting on import tariffs on Vietnamese wood exports earlier in April, it is currently on a 90-day hold. So, and the fact that Vietnam has been working on navigating this trade relation between the two countries. So this most preferential nation's rate of 0% also applies to US products as it stands right now. So I hope that's been an informative introduction into the Vietnamese wood market. So, and for the next few minutes, I'd like to spend a little bit of time to talk about our upcoming trade mission to Vietnam. So the trade mission will take place from November 16th to the 19th. So So this is going to be managed by the North Carolina and South Carolina Department of Agriculture. Companies who participate will be visiting Ho Chi Minh City, where we will be arranging a number of different activities during your time in Vietnam. So that includes a market tour, market visit to furniture plants or distribution centers in the city or outside of the city on the 17th. Then on the 18th, we'll be visiting the USDA's Office of Agricultural Affairs in Ho Chi Minh City for a market briefing on the Vietnamese market. And then after that, we'll be organizing business matchmaking sessions between suppliers and between U.S. suppliers and Vietnamese buyers before departing from the country. I know we're currently there is a Vietnam wood trade show that starts from the 19th. So I believe that is a potential itinerary that might happen. So do stay tuned on any updates on that. But just to give you a little bit of information on more specifically on the business matchmaking session, which is happening on November 18th. So at the matchmaking session, you'll be able to meet face-to-face with around 5 to 8 key Vietnamese buyers. And this may cover anyone from importers, manufacturers, or processors. And a dedicated interpreter will be arranged for you during your meetings with buyers, which will be a great way to establish and build relationship with buyers, as well as gain market insight directly from those who are in the industry. And finally, for those of you who might be considering attending the trade mission or anyone who might already have signed up, the current Department of State travel advisory for Vietnam right now is at level 1, which is the lowest level of the 4 levels. That means, I guess, you don't have to worry about traveling there. And as far as visa requirements, you can apply for a Vietnamese visa electronically online. And you can apply for either a single entry or multiple entry visa. Both are valid for 90 days from the effective date. The cost for a single entry visa is $25 US and 50 for multiple entries. And November will be a great time to visit Vietnam, as the weather there during that time will be mild at around 75 to 88 degrees with low humidity. And for doing business in Vietnam, first of all, Vietnamese buyers do highly appreciate face-to-face meetings, especially with new to market exporters in the initial stages. So this trade mission will be a great opportunity to do just that. And personal introduction from a third party will be a big help when it comes to enhancing your credibility and also acceptance from the buyers. And using Mr. or Miss plus their given name is a common and respectful way to communicate, especially in the first meetings. And always do bring your business cards, either at the market tour or at the business matchmaking sessions. Now, once you've made your initial contact, additional follow-up visits in person or through phone calls, emails, or even social media will play an important role in building those relationships. So thank you very much. I think I've sped through this presentation a little bit, so we'll have some time to take questions, eh?
Yeah, yep, nope, not at all. That was really thorough and good. And yes, everybody's muted. I should have mentioned that at the beginning. If you have questions, please put them into the Q&A or the chat, and we can get to those. For Sesta, wood species this is a product that we started working with and supporting just in the last few years. So it's exciting to really, start working more in this field and be doing a big event like this in November. Um, Obviously, we think that Vietnam has a lot of potential, and hence the reason that we're, bringing companies there in November, and should be a great opportunity, especially if you're going over for the Vietnam Wood Show. Um, Seems like a great time to be there. So if anybody has questions about that event or just in general, let us know. I'm keeping an eye on our Q&A and chat. We'll give you a couple minutes to do that.
Yeah, so I guess I would kind of just add to that, to Danielle's point, that I think we've done an inbound wood mission back in 2019. That's when we first brought in some Vietnamese buyers, and then in 2023, I believe, in December, we took another group of both Chinese and Vietnamese buyers to North and South Carolina. So
Yep.
I believe that was a pretty successful mission.
Mm-hmm.
So
Absolutely. I know it's interesting to think about the furniture or wood floors that we're all buying and putting in our houses, where the wood is originating from and then going
and
overseas and coming back to us.
exactly, a lot of them are coming from the US to
Yeah,
Vietnam and then reprocessed and then back to the
yeah,
US. So
absolutely. So interesting to follow that. Um, well, I am not seeing any questions come in. Ian, I guess you did a very good job. Um, If anybody does have questions, though, for Ian or would like to speak with him directly, there is a place on our website where you can register to meet with Ian and his team. Um, oh, there is a question that came in. We'll get to that in a second, but I do want to mention this. If you go to our events page and you go to the Export Education tab, you can register for a consultation with any of our consultants. SMH covers China and Hong Kong as well, so they would not be listed as a Vietnam consultant, but if you register for either a consultation for China or Hong Kong, you would get to Ian and be able to have a call with their team. Okay, this question, what is the market for treated utility poles?
that's very specific. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I don't really know what the market is like for treated utility poles,
Yeah,
but we would love to look into that
sure,
and try and answer that uh, at some
sure.
point
Yeah,
after this webinar. That
yeah.
is a very interesting question.
Absolutely. I've never thought about utility poles in terms of, yeah, um, that, yeah. If you, this would be a great thing for really specific things like that, that might take some research. That is a great, um, the, the consultations with Ian and his team are a really good place for those kinds of questions that are going to maybe require some more in-depth research and look into that. Um, And then I know some of you joined a little late. I think there was a Teams link in the calendar invitation with the Zoom link. I'm sorry, sometimes Microsoft just adds that in without us specifically saying like this is a Teams meeting. So I'm really sorry if you joined late. We are recording this webinar, so we will be putting the recording up on our website today with the presentation. So you can log into your account and go to the past webinars page and see the full webinar there as well. Oh, we have another question. You mentioned a lot of hardwoods in your presentation with the reducing fiber availability. Do you see some species substitution towards more softwood species?
Well, I don't know exactly if this pertains to US softwood species, but I believe Vietnam do um, import some softwood from, let's say, Australia or New Zealand. So, yeah.
Yeah, some possibilities for softwood as well. Can both hardwood and pine producers attend the event?
I think so. Yeah. I don't, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I don't think we are limiting the specific kinds of woods that can attend. That's sort of, I guess, where SESTA is different from AHEC or some of the other groups is we don't, we're wood species like as broad as it can be. So in any kind of shape or form or whatever species it is, those you can all come with us and go to these events. So keep that in mind. Um, are you sharing the slides after the presentation? Yes. So we'll share the recording of the webinar as well as the slides. It'll be in your MySesta account under the past webinars section. We will send an email to everybody once it is done and let you know. We'll send the link.
Yeah. And just to kind of get back onto the visa part, which I didn't really get into very elaborately. So it's it's a fairly simple process just to kind of quickly go through it. I mean, I recently just applied for it, so I can kind of talk about it. Um, so they have a website that you can just enter your personal information and then, you can decide whether to apply for a single entry or a multiple entry, and then, you know, type in your entry date, which is the effective date of the visa. And once you make the payment, it goes through uh, reviewing process. And then, as a matter of fact, my visa hasn't even come out yet, but I'm waiting for the results for that. So once you make the payment, and then they'll send an email over for confirmation. Uh, Once that's eventually approved, hopefully, then um, you enter Vietnam, which from that point on, it's valid for 90 days, whether it is a single entry or multiple entry. So hopefully that's informative.
I know. How long do you think the whole process, or do you have any idea how long it will take to get
Supposed to be a week or two.
Okay.
I think I put in my application about 3 days ago. So
Okay.
yeah,
I wonder for US citizens if that's different.
I'm actually a U.S. citizen, so
Oh, sorry, Ian.
no, don't
Sorry.
worry about it. No, I live in China, but
I know. I just assumed since you lived in China. I mean, your accent should give you away.
a little bit.
Yeah, 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 as more of a US citizen. Oh, okay. Well, great. So whatever your experience is will hopefully be similar for us. Um, yeah, great. All right. Any other questions? Again, if something comes up, email me, sign up to chat with Ian, and we will do our best to get the answers to all of your questions. And yeah, we're really excited to be working in this space and bringing you all to Vietnam. Um, and thank you for joining us this morning. Thank you, Ian.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.